Thank you, Corvin. Well, welcome to another town hall with concrete5. It's August 2019. Doing this one a little bit late. Summertime is here and strong. We're all getting kids to camp and, shorter days with the kids in camp instead of school and running around. So apologies for not making it last week, but here we are. Um, Enjoying a nice Portland summer. I'm in a new place. Just had to move all my stuff, so that was exciting. So changes, and there's going to be some changes with the format with some of the stuff we've been doing. For the last few months, we've been doing this town hall, and we've also been doing bi-weekly training sessions that were very much kind of seat of the pants improv training, if you will. Um, which was cool. I think that we've learned a fair amount from that. It was helpful to do. We got some good stuff out of it, but we also kind of realized it's just going to go on and on forever. So we're going to revise what we're doing a little bit here, dial it in, iterative development. So there's going to be a little bit more structure in our town hall format. Probably not quite back the way it was with Totally Random, but we're going to have some fixed segments that happen every month. So those of you in the community who have stuff that you might want to show or things to talk about, you can rely on the fact that we're going to be looking for news and something to talk about every month. There are channels in concrete5 Slack that you can go advocate for something to show. But we want to make sure that we do a show and tell every month, some interesting project based on concrete5. We want to take the time to call out a add-on or theme from the marketplace. We're not going to call out everyone, but there's so much good stuff in there. It's worth a while to pick something and just quickly talk about it. Of course, we'll find time to do the karma in the community and kind of some name dropping and call outs. We also want to have a Q&A session as part of the town hall. So some of that we were doing in the training, that kind of opening the forum up and having more of a discussion, that works well in this format. We're going to do that here. This will become our kind of chatty podcast Q&A. Meanwhile, let me see. We have done some planning and changing with the doc stuff. How do I share my screen here? All right, don't need those tips. Come over here. Should be able to see my screen. There you go, Corbin. Wow. So Andy and I have been working on defining requirements for updating concrete5.org. So there's a bunch of stuff here, single sign-on identity stuff and the core requirements to the marketplace and forums and whatnot. But what matters today is documentation stuff. So we've been spending some time on kind of what needs to change in the documentation site. As always, there's just a few kind of technical things or interfaces that would be nice to have. So we've been doing a little bit of work on that, getting kind of a new video block and some other stuff added there. And some kind of revision of the editing experience. Some of the stuff can largely stay the same, so that's refreshing because it's nice to know that we've built some stuff that works. The part I wanted to show here, though, here we go, is we're kind of consolidating efforts. So some time ago, Andy started a very thorough table of contents for best practices around concrete5. Kind of that middle level of documentation of, okay, how would you approach a problem? Like what should be a custom template? What should be a page type? Like how do we think about building websites? And really, for a developer that's somewhat experienced with PHP, start here and you'll be able to leave as a credible concrete5 developer. So that table of contents exists here. It's been revised to be around that Dreamers template that we started chopping as part of the kind of freestyling every other week live video cast we were doing. But Andy has taken some time to kind of dial it in a little bit, so we're not doing and undoing things and kind of making it up as we go. He has revised the technical outline of work to make sure that it kind of covers some things that we think are important to know about concrete5. And we are going to start flushing out this table of contents into actual documentation in a new section in the docs site. from that, we will then be able to make shorter videos. I think one of the takeaways we had from dabbling with that was like, well, this is going to go really long. So I'd like to see 20, 30-minute videos, and maybe half a dozen or a dozen of them that stack together into, hey, if you watch all this, you'll be credible and certified. And I think this will be a better path to get us towards that than just tossing Corbin and Mike in on the deep end every other week. As I just implied, at some point that will be thorough enough that we will come back and be able to do a certification test. So I know some of you have been asking about, hey, are we going to get certification back for the latest version of concrete5? Yes, but in order for that to make sense, we've got to have kind of a better, hey, go and read this, and then you should be capable of getting certified. Anything you want to add to that, Andy? Did I cover?
Yeah, no, you covered it good. So yeah, we had a nice technical outline of work for the site that we were building, the Dreamers theme. We kind of were using it to build out blocks and some custom templates and a basic theme. But I wanted to kind of go back over that again and see if there weren't some other kind of concepts that are kind of integral to building a concrete5 theme in 2019 that we weren't covering, and just see if we could build a few more page types from that theme, integrate with some kind of layout presets or grid framework stuff so that we make sure to cover those topics as well. And then, yeah, also part of this documentation is something that we've never really had before, which is kind of documentation that intersects the using concrete5 and editing a site with concrete5 and developing for it. So one of the bits of feedback we get a lot is that people think our page type and template system is very powerful and really cool once they finally understand it and see all the different things that you could do with it. But we don't do a great job of explaining how that works, for one, and then how to architect a site to effectively use different page types across different page templates and things like that. So part of this new documentation, which is really going to kind of replace the page theming and sort of some of the basic block development documentation on the dev docs, is really going to be sort of figuring out how to build a full concrete5 site from a best practices guide, emphasizing that best practices. So we also haven't really, we've bent over backwards to try and remain as unopinionated as possible in certain aspects. We don't want to get in the way of building a site. We want to give people tools and not necessarily, tell them they're doing something wrong all the time. And that's good in some respects, but we definitely have knowledge after having built lots of these sites over the years, and we want to share it in a best practices way, so that we can really put forward this theming and site creation documentation saying, this is the way that we build sites, this is the way we think it works really well, and we want to share that with you. So that's just kind of why we're redoing this again, because it's some docs that honestly we've kind of gone from wanting to redo the theming documentation for 2019, since it hasn't been touched in 5 years, and having this sort of book table of contents sitting around that I haven't been able to have the time to really work on enough, and saying, no, isn't there a way we can get both of these things out there, and not put it behind some walled garden PDF somewhere, but actually put this documentation in people's hands. So that is really the purpose behind all of it. Yeah.
Nice. Yep. So that's what we're working on. We're going to forego the every other week live training stuff until we get some of this little a bit more mature, and then we'll make the training videos a bit more produced. So they'll be shorter, more polished, more digestible, and that will be good. And then this monthly town hall can be more chit chatty podcast type stuff. So that's what I know on that. Moving right along through this agenda, we didn't have Corbin for the second half of last week because he was off in delightful Las Vegas doing super duper security hacker stuff at DEF CON, right, Corbin?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, I go to DEF CON every year. It's always interesting to go and see, we're kind of, at least for me, I'm kind of drenched in technology constantly. And I just have such a very specific perspective on the things that I work with and the things that I do, that really gets shattered and blown to pieces when I go to DEF CON because, there was, uh, I got to choose which experience I want to share. There was some hardware that anybody would have in their house, and somebody was able to break into that hardware, use that to, compromise a computer or vice versa. They were able to use just that IoT hardware to like hack into other IoT that's using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi and stuff. And so all this stuff, it's stuff that I'm aware of, but not stuff that I feel like, I would never be able to do something like that, not without a lot of work and focus. So getting a chance to go and see people doing that kind of stuff is always really exciting to me, and it makes me excited to learn more and do more. So I really like DEF CON. And then on the other hand, there's some exciting stuff that goes on. Like, for example, one of the things, they do these different challenges every year. And one of them was car hacking challenge, where they had a bunch of teams team up and try to hack into different cars. So they had a Tesla Model X on the floor. They had a couple different Chryslers, a couple different Dodges. And so they had a whole bunch of different challenges that people had to complete in order to win the capture the flag challenge that they had. And at the end, whoever won, the winning team got to keep the Tesla that they had on the floor, which was really funny because part of the challenge was destroying this Tesla. So they took a sledgehammer to it, they keyed it up. It's covered in stickers by the end. So really amazing. It's not often you get to see a couple nerdy people take a sledgehammer to a Tesla. So really cool experience, and I love going to it every year. So probably be back.
Nice. So you didn't win a broken Tesla with a tax payment that you need to make?
I'm not sure if you can call it a win, but yeah, no, I didn't take the loss. I took other losses.
I love it. They're like, you get to dispose of our garbage.
Yay!
I'm sure it's still really valuable, It's,
right. Body work will be fine.
Cool to drive around a busted Tesla anyway.
And plus, you're DEF CON participants, so if you don't have to worry about who gets, access to it at a particular time, you just hack it from the other person's house and make it drive it on over to your house. When it's time, you just take ownership.
It's just a constant capture the flag from now on. So.
Nice. Well, welcome back. It's good to have you back. Let's see, Karma in the community. So a couple of shout outs and thanks as always. John the Fish, top of our leaderboard with his peer review board work. He's got some stuff to show us today around some search stuff that's cool. Thank you, John, for being such an active community member. Also Noor and Calais and Ed Beanie in there at the top of the Karma charts for helping people, I imagine. And Steve B, who has always been a very active PRB contributor, and I know has taken a backseat in coming up here as he's got different stuff going on, but just wanted to call you out and say thank you for all the work and volunteering and help that you've given us. All those people and more. Great to have the help. A thing that anybody can do to help concrete5.org today, or concrete5 today, is they are giving away $10 gift cards for reviews on Capterra. So Capterra is a kind of a community review site run by Gartner Group, I think. There's a Concrete5 page on there. It's got some reviews, could always use more, and Capterra has generously offered to give you a choice of $10 gift card. I'm sure it's, whatever, Starbucks or I don't know. I don't know what they are, but I know they're $10, and I know I don't get one because my review is somewhat biased. But you should do that. There is a link in NewsFlow, so if you go to your dashboard and scroll around a little bit, you'll see it there. I'm sure we can put a link in this video when we post it and that kind of thing as well. But would definitely help us to have more reviews in there, and we see them all. So thank you very much. What else is going on, Andy? Did we do a 8.5 something release recently?
We
Release
did, and
candidate.
between the last town hall and this one, we did an 8.5.2 the first release candidate for that version. Along with that, we are starting something new where we have a special Google sheet that we have built based off of a sheet provided by concrete5 Japan. So thank you guys. We are going to make a new one of these for every every version or every release candidate that we kind of enter into this public testing mode, and then we just are encouraging people to try and put it through its paces and sign off on it. So with the idea being this sheet can grow over time, we'd be happy to get some submissions to it, and we'll fold them back into the original one. And then the idea that we've got unit testing for the core coding classes, but we don't. This is more sort of, does this thing function as intended, and does it work in the browsers as we would expect? And so, and the tests are meant to be fairly granular as well, so they don't necessarily build off each other. So one person can take all the file uploading tests and not worry about certain dashboard page configuration tests or things like that. And we just want to have a more formalized process for these releases as we go forward with it. But yeah, we've got a release candidate 1 out there. We are doing some, we've gotten some bug submissions into GitHub based on that and based on just 8.5.2 development. So I expect we'll be doing another one of those soon. But yeah, our goal is to get 8.5.2 out the door as quickly as possible. So I expect to see that sooner rather than later.
Sweet. And so, just for clarity, those tests, those are things that any human can do right now. They read natural language. It's like, hey, bring up the site and move a block from this area to that area. And then you can kind of mark off on that sheet, hey, I fronts tested this on my clean RC and it worked. In the big picture, Mike will be trying to write Gherkin files, which is kind of like almost like batch, kind of automate some of this front end testing. But the the interim is like we just need to kind of get those things defined out and at least get some structure around it, and then we'll look at automating them as a next step. Okie dokie. Let's see. I think we are moving into the share and enjoy part of our little town hall deal here. So I think Mike Larson wants to talk about the speed analyzer from our marketplace. Are you ready to do that, Mike?
Sure.
All right.
All right. I'm going to try sharing my screen here. Let me know if there's any issues. First time trying here. Select window or screen. Oh gosh, it gives me all these options here.
Yeah. New software.
Is that working? Can you see my screen now?
It is working, yeah, but you switch away from choose a different window. I'm looking at double mic here.
Double mic.
But
that's what I wanted, because then I'm going to switch to a different tab. So
okay,
let's try this. Select entire screen.
Uh-oh.
See Franz.
We lost him entirely.
Uh-oh. You might have closed the wrong window.
Well. Does anybody have nice jazz hands? Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Oh, no, it's me.
Now it's
there he is.
All right. Don't click the refresh button. All right. Now can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Now that's how you do it. All right. So we're gonna call out or highlight an add-on at each town hall, kind of show what's available in the community. And one of the ones I've been really impressed with for a couple of reasons is Speed Analyzer by A3020. And I believe this was shown at the ConCon almost a year ago now. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool for a number of reasons. Number one, it's free, which is amazing considering what it does. And number two is if you've ever used a tool like Blackfire, which gives you a profile of everything that's going on your server when you request a page, all the different calls and PHP methods and functions and stuff. This does sort of a light version of that and free. So if you go to add-on/speed analyzer. There should be some screenshots here which give you a
There we go.
hint of what it does. So this is the most basic thing. It just gives you kind of a similar thing that you'd get from your developer tools in your browser at first glance. Gives you the total execution time and such. But if you look more carefully, it's telling you how much time was spent on database queries, other sort of what things were going on. And as you drill down into it, you'll get even more information. You get this timeline of events here, how many queries were executed for each one of them. For like on start, for example, it would start at the 55 millisecond time. It made 6 queries, which took 0.56 milliseconds. So if your site is slow, you can use this to start to drill into it and try to optimize it a bit. Let's get some other things here. So it gives you the exact queries. In this previous one, it just told you how many queries. But you can see you can drill in and get the exact queries, how long each one of those took. So if you need to, add an index or optimize, some custom code, you can do that. And you can get some reports. And I think there's one more screenshot here. Just the settings.
Turn on.
Yeah.
That's
and,
very cool.
Yeah,
couple
that's
of
nice.
diagnosis stuff. Yeah, it's really impressive considering it's free. There's a small community that discusses. I think there's even a Slack channel. In fact, I'm sure there's a Slack channel specifically for this add-on where you can discuss, how you use it and what other features you might want to see. Because as A3020 wrote in here, his goal is to make it useful. So, if you're interested, install it and have a go and give some feedback in the Slack channel.
Nice. That's really
very
cool.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. And thanks, A3020. That is.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Okay. Thanks for the warp zone. Yeah, that is cool. We spend a lot of time worrying about caching, turning block level caching stuff on, and kind of those queries add up. So very handy tool to have. Sweet. Let's see if we can get John the Fish in here, who's got some cool stuff around search to show off. Hi, John.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Yeah. Shall I get a screen square up? Oh,
Yeah.
Do it.
There we go. Just the application window, that one. This is going to go recursive again, so let's... there we are.
There we go.
Right, the add-on I'm going to demo is not a marketplace add-on. It's a project I put together for a few customers that co-funded development, and it's an enhanced search feature. If you think that most searches with the built-in search are very literal, if you don't have the exact phrase, it won't find it. So I will search for something I know that's on this site. I know Magic Tabs is on my support site, but I will do tabs John Magic, which is not an exact phrase. It wouldn't be found by the regular search. And if I do a search here, up comes Magic Tabs and a few other things. I've got a few other searches built in, how to split a page into tabs. Again, that's not a phrase that comes up there, but here we have a few useful results. Rather than just scattering different searches all over the place, I'll talk a little bit about how this works. The core already creates a MySQL free text search on the search index tables that are used by the standard search, but the standard search doesn't use that free text search. So what this add-on does is take some queries that use that free text search with a bit of other stuff to score things and extend it to create the results that you're seeing. If I jump to the dashboard page, let's get rid of that bit first so you can see things. This is just one simple dashboard page because that's all the budget had at the time I was putting this together. Full text search, it uses stemming based on a stemming library, and because I was experimenting at the time this is going together, there's a choice of stemming libraries. The relevance score, what this does is it makes a score for the best scoring result and then truncates anything that doesn't score at least 20% of that score or whatever value's in here. So if you want fairly vague results continuing on page after page, you can reduce that percentage. Or if you want very crisp results that hardly have any variation from the search terms, you can increase the percentage. Synonyms, a lot of searches fail because people look for the wrong words. So if we go down here, here's a good collection of synonyms. Delete, remove, destroy, erase, clean, or kill. Now, if someone put one of those words in looking for how to delete a page, but what they really wanted to do, or the page that they really wanted was how to remove a page, this would add the synonyms into the same search. There's also abbreviations. This is a one-way thing. If you put in the abbreviation MT, it will search for magic tabs. This obviously is my support site, so the abbreviations are key to me. E.g. an example, and there's a few other things in there. On a more practical basis, if someone was looking for maritime history stuff, you could have a synonym for submarine, U-boat, and U-boat, and they will all come up. And there's a slightly different weighting for them.
And you mentioned this is based on a stemming library. Can you speak to what that actually is and does?
Ah, right. Yes. Sorry. Stemming is things like plurals of words. So as well as tabs, you'd also look for tabs. So it'd cross the S off the end with words that have. Cool. So for things like a stem is the stem of stemming.
Okay. So like the root word. Yeah.
And it MySQL's free text search already does that to a certain extent. This pulls in a library and applies that to the search terms before applying it to the free text search and things. The other limitation of MySQL's free text search is that it starts with 4-character words because they reckon no one's interested in words of 3 characters or less. Now, a lot of technology sites, including one of the customers I put this together for, has a lot of acronyms, 3-letter acronyms, and they just get filtered out straight away. So this has got a 3-character extension built on that does a bunch of queries for 3-character words and then weights those into the results. So, and it also checks for the exact phrase and biases it. So the setup here, there's collection name, description, or the actual content of a page. Whether searching that is enabled. 3-character word value, this is a score if a 3-character word matches, which is how this is merged into the MySQL scoring system. There's an exact phrase value, which hypes up the score of something for an exact phrase. And then there's a multiplier so that names are worth 3 times as much as content. Or a match in a name is worth 3 times as much in a content. Bit of trimming and formatting. What I'll do now is I'll add on some diagnostics, which are there, and save it. And if we go back to the search, you'll be able to see some of these numbers in action. So if I search for how to split a page into tabs again, now I've got the query and how long it took to run. The 100% score was a score of 22.9 points based on those weighting values. The next best was 20.4, which is 89%. And if we go down here, we're decreasing in percentage. Towards the bottom of the page, there's a getting started page that only scored 20.8% of the best. And then here is the last page that scored more than 20% on the second page of the search results. where I'm going with this, well, it was sort of crowdfunded by a few customers who each chipped in a bit to it. And whilst it works, I think there's still a fair bit of development that could be done with it. I think the going down here, this ratings and relevance thing, I think maybe a decreased relevance for synonyms, a decreased relevance for acronym expansion. At the moment, they're weighted equally. Some better editing facilities for all of these options for when people are setting the search system up. There's an algorithm called SoundX, which takes a word and breaks it into a phonetic number, and then can compare soundexes of words. So one of the things that I think would be interesting to do would be to create a soundex index and then add soundexes in for similar words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how relevant that is. And the other thing that I think needs to be looked at is how to make this multilingual, because at the moment, a lot of what it does is based on what the MySQL installation can do. And the MySQL installation is the language that MySQL is installed in, not the language that concrete5 is using for a front end. So I haven't investigated that at all. So anyone who wants to jump on board, I'm looking for projects that need a search and need a bit of work configuring this to their projects, because I think it needs a bit of work configuring it to any particular site and further development of it.
It's really cool, John.
Right, I'll cancel a screen share and let everyone get back to things here.
Nicely done.
Yeah, this is awesome.
One thought that I had as I was watching kind of the synonyms and managing that is, do you log what people are searching for? And could you bring back like top searches for some period of time? So as a site kind of administrator, I could curate the synonyms and be like, oh, everybody's searching for this, not that. And I should probably...
That would be handy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something that John Campbell, he's one of the customers for this. He's got it working on 3,000 pages of intranet. That's something that he has done manually.
Yeah.
So while we're in the development of this, one of his feedbacks was, I need an acronym expansion because we've got so many acronyms, not just 3-character words, but one-way acronym expansion. Mm-hmm. So that was added in at his request. I think certainly a log of searches that are made and their scores and failed searches as well, I think would be good, a good thing to log, because then a site admin can look through failed search and say, oh, this, as you say, this search failed because they typed the wrong word. Let's put in the synonym expansion and improve its relevance.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might be one of those where like a little bit of love on the interface makes it something that people want to play with, you know, like, oh, let me see what people are searching for today, and click, click, click. Let's find them answers. And I could see that making a huge difference. It's really cool.
Yeah, I really like this. I know we've struggled a lot in the past with making search work well when we're dealing with MySQL search and things like that. And we've opted in the past to just use things like Elasticsearch and other services that make it easy. So seeing this is really cool.
Very nice. So is this in the marketplace, or is this a GitHub project? How are you distributing that?
No, at the moment, it's just something that I'm demonstrating on my own support sites. There's a few sites that are out in the world using it that are the customers that sponsor development. And what I'm looking for is people that have got sites with a big search requirement that want to jump on the bandwagon, put a bit of money into further development, and then everyone benefits from the next iteration. Yep,
makes sense. Well, great. If you're searching for search, you have found your answer, and John the Fish is eager to help you. So John's pretty easy to get a hold of. We'll link to his profile and the links for the video, and he's all over Slack. And reach out and find that search. Let's see. I think we're in the final section here. Any questions and answers? So I know we're a little late on prepping this week, but now that we've got this more rigid structure, hopefully we can start to kind of accumulate some Q&A throughout the month. I know we had one question from Stu Black. Are we going to get certification going? The answer is yes, we want certification, but we got to make sure our best practices docs are looking great first. So kind of talked about that a little bit ago. Are there any other questions that have emerged while we've been chatting, Mike?
Yeah, I haven't seen any new ones coming in. So if anyone has any questions, there's a suggestion from J.A. Steele. If we could somehow have a feed or a calendar or something to provide .iCal or Google Cal for our town hall meetings and anything else that we want to include the community in, that would be kind of cool.
Yep. We will do that. There's a new service that we're using. Feels like it's worked pretty well. We'll see what happens when we post it to YouTube. But because Google likes to turn things off, we've had to migrate into a new, what's this thing called, Corbin?
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Pretty cool. So seems to be working. So maybe we can get our link finalized and we can actually stick this up with a little bit more warning and get a better pile of questions for next time. Unless anybody has anything else that I'm missing.
I think we had one more from J.A. Steele again. He was just wondering, is there going to be an episode of Learning with concrete5 this Thursday, or is that a tentative scheduling thing?
No, there's not going to be one this Thursday. We're going to work on those docs and start posting pre-recorded videos that cover the doc stuff. Focus our effort on making really good documentation.
That way you'll be able to watch these videos and you'll have something you can follow along with, or and
on demand.
Won't be lost to time. So
and I'm updating the blog post about that right now, based on John's suggestion, or sorry, J.A. Steele's suggestion.
I always thought it was Joss Steele.
Joss Steele.
Steele.
We've got a question for Joss Steele. Is it J.A. Steele or is it Joss Steele?
It's always Joss Steele to me.
Joss Steele 12.
Rasta Steele.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna cut this off a little early because I got stuff to do. Let's get writing docs. Let's get back to work. But yeah, happy August. We'll see you beginning of September. And if you've got questions, stick them in the Town Hall Concrete5 so I can get something you want to demo for the next show and tell. We'd love to show and tell about it. And that's what I know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone's doing it.